Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming at you on December 15th, 2021. It's getting pretty close to Christmas, and thanks to the management of Biden and company, it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot under the tree this year. But before we get into any of the stories of the day, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So this particular show, we're going to get a little bit into sort of a science theme on this one. And really, it's a little bit focused on some of the politicization of science. And so the first story we wanted to do, especially amidst all this crazy COVID stuff that we've been going through and all the politics that have been flying around in that, is a story about the FDA that came out back in September, I think. If we get an image on that one, I think so. Back in September, two senior FDA officials, they resigned over the Biden administration's booster shot plan. I think it also had something to do with might have had something to do too with the plan to accelerate this stuff to kids too, but certainly for the booster plan. And the bottom line is these two senior officials, they had been involved in a lot of different work in the past for the FDA, and so they were well respected within the agency, but they saw this process where the CDC was apparently coming in and sort of short-circuiting a lot of their responsibilities and such. So they were kind of interfering with the normal process that normally happens at the FDA, and essentially telling them how it was going to be. Which the bottom line is either these policies at the FDA are there for a reason or they're not, and the idea that you could just get political pressure and different people coming in and telling you how it's going to be, that does seem a little on the anti-science side. Well, what do you guys think of this? I mean, it sounds just like one more thing with all of the crazy COVID stuff we've seen from our officials.
I think the politicization of the FDA have been ongoing in the last year since in the Biden administration. I'm not going to say that the previous administration, Trump administration, was totally innocent in this matter, but we have seen it taking a very drastic turn towards politicization, because on many instances we see the administration will have some policy, and next thing you know, the FDA comes out and say, well, yeah, that is good thing, that's things that we will support and that kind of stuff, and it does not look well. It does not bode well. And I think this is true with the FDA and with the CDC. I think in one case in the CDC, it's where the head of the CDC said something, and the Jen Psaki, who is Biden's press secretary, came out and said, oh, she was speaking on her own behalf, or as a private citizen, or some garbage like that. So these agencies, which are supposed to be science-based, which are supposed to be looking into what are the facts of the situation, and then distributing then laying out policies and information to us, the average citizens, they are now caught up in the politicization of their work by the administration, and this is a dangerous path for us to go, because there have been several things that have happened in the past. Look at the issue about hydroxychloroquine, which have been a drug that have been around for so damn long. I mean, since the 1950s. It is well known. It have been well studied. There have been over 1 billion doses of it administered. And suddenly, just because Donald Trump supported it, all of a sudden we started here, well, no. There are some problems with that, the use of that drug. And there's so many things that have happened since because of the hatred of Donald Trump and because of the love of the Biden administration. where politics is now entering into the science of what we are supposed to know and what we are told and what we are not told, and this is dangerous.
Yeah. Why do the kids not trust the adults anymore?
Yes. Yes.
The cherished institutions like the FDA that were founded without political affiliation and were supposed to conduct their affairs without it. And why isn't the Biden administration telling the FAA what to do about the 737 MAX and the issues related to that in the past? How come? Why? Why does the Biden administration overlord every established alphabet soup agency?
Yes.
How come? Why doesn't he single-handedly, like a dictator, like a ruler? And same thing with Mr. I'll fire the FDA chief unless he approves the vaccine, Trump. All this goes against these cherished institutions that are supposed to independently look at very complex scientific based things like aviation, like whether a system that works with the autopilot to automatically pitch down when you get to a certain speed on an aircraft, and all this kind of stuff. You want the politicians to tell everybody what to do on all that? Okay, so you're either going to allow the FAA to make those decisions, and you're going to allow the FDA, independent of political pressure, to make their decision, or you're just going to politicize everything, and we'll all go to I was almost going to say HE double toothpicks, but in a handbasket. But I refrained from that so that James doesn't have to edit me out again. But it's ludicrous, and this is why we're in this situation where there's cynicism abounding because of stuff like this, and it's because it's who could blame them when you've got Biden who's telling the Supreme Court, no, I don't care what you say about the vaccine mandate. I'm going to still go through with it, okay? Yeah. What's this separation of powers? What's this separation stuff all about? No, I don't care. I'm God, and I'm going to rule like God rules, okay? I am sovereign, and you guys can take a hike. I don't care about your decisions. I don't care about the FDA. I don't care about the FAA. I don't care about anybody. I am God, and I'm going to rule over you guys. Why? Because I'm Joe Biden, and I know what's what.
Well, Tim, you can't expect Joe Biden to actually read the rules, can you? He's just going, I'm not dictator.
Yeah, exactly. Read the rules. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Same thing with Newsom. Yeah, neither one of them read their rules, and if they did, they just let's remember the scene in The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean when Paul Newman, playing the role, took that page out of the Texas law book and ripped it out. You don't remember that scene?
No, I've never seen the movie.
The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean. You got to see that. Anyway, that's what these guys are doing. They're just ripping that page of the law out. Well, I just repealed that law. Rip. There you go. Okay, so there you have it.
But when science when politics enters science at this level, I mean, it could become deadly. Okay, we don't know, and probably will never know, because we did not look more deeply into the use of hydroxychloroquine in terms of dealing with the effects of the COVID virus. We don't know how many people might have died as a result. Maybe there are people who could have been saved if they would administer the hydroxychloroquine early. But this was a big pushback within the agencies about using it. And these are the kind of things what happen when science and politics get intertwined. People's lives could be lost as a result.
Yeah.
And this is what we got to be careful about when this politics and this science start to blend in the same blender.
Well, what is really disturbing too is the way the media had jumped in order to support the administration and this stuff, or to be against the administration when it was Donald Trump. When it was Donald Trump, hydroxychloroquine was suddenly fish tank cleaner, and oh my God, you're going to try and use fish tank cleaner to solve this COVID mess.
Right.
And then when it was when Joe Biden was president, and Joe Rogan said he was using ivermectin, then suddenly you're using horse paste. Oh my God!
Good point.
So it's exactly. That the media has really done us a disservice, because both of these are medications that have been used to treat people for different things, and certainly not. They had not been approved yet for COVID, but that's I guess just part of how medicines can work with, sometimes people, they experiment, and you start to notice that, hey, certain things are working, and then they put together studies and they try and see if there's a real effect on these things. And
sure.
Instead of just saying, oh, that's horse paste. Oh my God. So, I don't know. But anyways, let's jump to another thing, because, this whole idea of the media and how they're sort of warping our ideas of what's going on out there in science. Another issue is the scientists themselves seem to want to stifle any debate in a lot of things. And we're seeing that recently. Michael Mann, he's the scientist who essentially brought up the idea of the hockey stick in climate change. And so essentially trying to show in his graphs that you see this flat line of carbon dioxide and the heating, and then when the carbon dioxide goes up, then suddenly you see the warming go up, and there's the hockey stick that he's talking about. In more recent years, but there's a lot of debate and a lot of complexity out there around climate change. And the idea that some of these people just want to stifle anything, much as we've seen with COVID. Recently, Michael Mann was quoted on Twitter. He said, "Hey, at YouTube, it's good you're taking down COVID denial videos. Now it's time for you to remove climate denial videos. They pose an even greater threat to humanity in the long term." And so what we've seen literally with the COVID crisis is that there's been scientists and doctors who've gone out onto YouTube and other social media, and they've literally been shut down if they say anything that does not follow whatever the WHO is saying at the moment, or Fauci is saying at the moment. And and we're seeing the same type of mentality with climate change. If you see a person and they are putting something out that doesn't match whatever the consensus is, then suddenly you just silence them so that we don't have to hear about them. You guys have any thoughts on this sort of disturbing trend?
Well, Michael Mann, to start with, is a fraud, okay? He really is, okay? I'm serious about that. He was involved, I don't know if you remember, about 10 years ago, somebody hacked into into one of the servers from East Anglia University and somewhere in England. And some emails were released, and they were showing the communication between Michael Mann and some of the people at East Anglia University. And it showed all of the nonsense that these people were doing. They were forcing data to fit their narrative. That's what they were doing. And everybody saw it. But Michael Mann is now trying to tell us now that he have figured out all the issues involving climate change, and he know what is right and what is wrong, and who should be silenced and who should not be. This man is a fraud. That's what he is, just like Dr. Fauci. Well, I shouldn't be even saying Dr. Fauci.
And Leon, to bring up the specific quote that came out of one of the emails was, they were saying, how do we use Michael's trick to hide the decline, I think is what they said.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not sure for sure if that's legit, but I'm just saying.
But I couldn't remember it. Thank you. Exactly. This man is a fraud. And now he's trying to get get YouTube to silence people who disagree with his narrative of what climate change looks like, or what it should not look like, or what we should think, or what we should say, or what we should believe. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to silence us, and they're trying to get with the government. They're trying to tie up with the government so the government could censor us indirectly through YouTube and Twitter and all these other people. This is unbelievable, and we are heading down a very, very disturbing and dangerous path here with these people who claim to be experts in their field. God help us.
Well, I like the Michael Mann. That's the movie director. He's a good movie maker, but I don't. Yeah, I think it's these people with that are on shaky ground with their theories that are worried the most about opposing theories and opposing scientific, scientists that have every right to give their opinion. I don't know. Yeah, it's a disturbing trend because YouTube is a popular platform, and it takes a lot to create a new platform. But I found that new platforms, if usually they're already available, they're in the form of a podcast, or maybe a guy wrote a book, or of course people don't read books that much, but they still do. There, enough people, especially inquisitive people, read books, and so the word can still get out. And yes, it's better to reach a broad audience with a YouTube video, and people, are respond to the visual stimuli quicker and better. And I do myself. I watch YouTube. So anyway, I don't know. It's a disturbing trend. We'll see how it pans out. We'll see. It's probably not going to be good, but there's a lot of things that aren't good these days.
But the point is, though, in all this, the bottom line of all this, the progress of science requires scrutiny.
Yes.
Scientists used to invite people to try to disprove their theories.
Yes.
They used to invite people to this, but now with this climate change and with some of these COVID things, now everybody wants to say, well, no, you cannot have an opinion that does not fit your narrative. Otherwise, you're some kind of denier. You're a climate denier, you're COVID denier, you're a this denier, and they're ready to cancel you. And this is the disturbing thing that's of all this, is that science, which used to require scrutiny, they are now trying to stop even that.
Well, what I think it's a condemnation of myself is the public education, because essentially these guys have so little faith in public education that they think they need to silence anybody who has a wild idea that doesn't match theirs. And, in some cases, some of these ideas are screwy that some of the people are posting out there on YouTube. I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of the weird conspiracies out there. But the point is that, if we want to get at the truth, we have to have open inquiry. And I mean, we've seen this with COVID. We just had it in front of our eyes where, one day Fauci would be telling us, don't wear masks. And then the next day he'd come back and say, wear masks, then wear 2 masks. And, if you had contradicted him at either time, you were shut down on YouTube, which is crazy. And similar things with other aspects to COVID as well. But let's jump over onto the next story. Elon Musk has come out with something called Neuralink, and that's going to be coming out in 2022. And this has some real potential, potentially for a lot of people who are suffering from disabilities, and maybe other implications as well going into the future about learning and other stuff like that. But essentially, the idea is putting a chip into people's heads, and somehow that may be able to facilitate communication, through nerve impulses and such. One of the experiments they ran about a year or so ago was some chimpanzees playing Pong without the hands or anything else. They were playing Pong on the screen with the chips inserted into their brains. And so the idea is that maybe this could help people to walk again at some point. But it is kind of a scary idea too. You're putting these chips in people's heads, and the way things have been going lately, I mean, it's just another way of chipping away at our liberty too. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I don't know. I'd have to wait and see. I'm not going to, you know me. I like new technology when it comes out usually, and I don't, every time something new comes out technologically, I don't immediately think, oh my God, we're all going to be enslaved. I mean, they enslave us through war. There's so many ways they enslave us today. They don't need Neuralink. They don't need to put a chip in our brain to have us all, the majority of us, just look at California. Majority of them vote for more taxes. It doesn't matter what tax comes out, they vote for it. It always wins. Do they have Neuralink in their brains when they vote for more taxes? Now it's through war and through the central printing press causing inflation and just paying for anything and everything. Those are the ways we get enslaved today. So Neuralink is way down on the bottom of my list of things I'm going to worry about as far as my liberties, way down there on the bottom. And if it can help some people in some way medically, am I going to go running to go to Neuralink and get one put in? Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say no, but I got a fake hip. I have a titanium hip right now. That's fairly new technology. That stuff just didn't crop up, yesterday. Well, yesterday it was, but anyway, go ahead, Leon. I'm starting to run off.
Even though Tim, I do acknowledge that something like Neuralink could have some real benefits to people, disabled people, even people with psychological problems. I could see potential benefits there from having this sort of chip implanted in you, and probably with the impulses and stimulus, you could probably do something that will benefit that will raise the quality of their life. However, I have a real issue here, because too often when there's these technologies come out, and this has been the nature of history, the government will get involved with it and somehow get a hold of the technology and somehow try to use it to erase or to diminish the liberties of the citizens involved. We see this going on right now as we speak. The government is getting with Facebook and with Twitter to destroy the liberties of its opponents. It's happening right now. Now, if they have a chip in our brain and they could somehow get in there and they could, or hack, or it's being hacked in some way, who knows what the hell they could do? Now, I don't want to sit here and lay out this doomsday scenario of government control of us, okay? I don't want to lay out that doomsday scenario. But I think it is a concern that we should keep at our forefront. Because once the government get a hold of this technology, and if they decide to use it in some way, and I would be as certain as I'm sitting here that they will use it if they ever get a hold of this technology, we might have some real problems down the road. But I do acknowledge the potential benefits here. I really do.
Yeah. I think one of the scariest ideas is that, maybe some company like CNN gets there and hacks your chip, and suddenly you enjoy watching CNN.
Oh, yeah, viewership is up, or CNN, and down for Fox News. Can you believe it?
All of a sudden, Leon is on the show and he's spouting all the garbage out of CNN. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. Well, let's jump to the next item, and that's our. We don't have time for that last one on Musk, but we're going to jump to our Knuckleheads noise patrol, because this is how we usually wrap up the show with something kind of silly that somebody said. And in this case, we're going to Jen Psaki and in the White House, and some of the muddled rhetoric that's come out recently from her and Biden about inflation. And so recently at a White House press briefing 3 or 4 days ago, Psaki was asked about inflation, and the question was, what's the White House's big picture view on why so many Americans are so pessimistic about the economy and about the direction of the country? And Psaki replied, if you can make anything out of this word soup, why are people experiencing things, or why? Because, and we've talked about this a little before, but a lot of it, what we're saying, what we're seeing in our data is people's psychology on the economy and how they're experiencing things in the country right now is related to COVID, and the fact that COVID, we're still in a fight against this virus. So You know, I don't know if you guys can make anything out of that.
You know who I miss? I miss that good-looking blonde that Trump had as press secretary. She was like the Beth Dutton from Yellowstone of press secretaries.
You're talking about Kayleigh McEnany, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, she was, cute and smart and put up with any BS. And, this Jen Psaki, though, is just perfectly the perfect one for Biden. I mean, she's just as dumb as Biden. So, I can't think of a better press secretary for Biden, the blind leading the blind, and or at least representing the blind. And there you have it. No offense to, our esteemed background person, but
well, I'm half blind, I'm legally blind in my left eye, so
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, really. And why do we listen to you, Leon, for crying out loud?
Hey, well, Leon, before you jump in, let me just say there was one other part of the quote too, and I wanted to bring that up because this is a little bit telling too. Psaki was also asked because recently the Fed chair had come out and acknowledged that this inflation is not transitory anymore, is what he was saying. And so the reporter asked, can you acknowledge that inflation is more entrenched and not transitory? And then Psaki said, but I think part of the point here is it doesn't really matter what you call it. She was saying, whether it's transitory or not. And the point is that Psaki just a few months ago had been calling this transitory inflation. So, just, more dishonesty. But anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem. We have to please give Jen Psaki a break, okay? Please, okay? This is a woman who does take advice from her 5-year-old about mass policy for little kids, okay? Just remember that. She and Jimmy Carter, who was taking advice from his daughter, Amy, she was 12 years old at the time, about nuclear proliferation. They went to the same school of idiocy. I did not know, though, that Jan Psaki and AOC also went to the same school of idiocy on economics. I did not know that. I just found that out today, or whenever I read your article, Jason. These people are so lost. I think they're eating their own, you-know-what, and they don't even realize it. Their head is up, the external part of their body, and they are so lost, they wouldn't know what to do if supply and demand curve struck them in the face. They wouldn't know what to do with it.
Are they in their own cognitive dissonance?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. I think, when you talk about where they got their degrees, I kind of think it's from Cracker Jack U. You pop open the box, see what you got. But maybe you have to be a little older to get that joke. I don't know. For the youngers out there. But anyways, we're about to reach the end of our show. And thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you again next time. Until then, stay free.
Indeed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness all